Hi, my name is Luke Rhodes. I'm a recovering addict. I own marketpalacecapital.com. This channel is dedicated to helping you improve the quality of your life. I have been given a second chance and I'm going to use it to make a difference in the world. I'm going to share the wisdom and knowledge I have gained from being a homeless addict to getting where I'm at today and how you can too. Alright, so I am going to tell you the story of what it was like going into detox and going through cold turkey post-acute withdrawals. I decided that I needed help. I decided that it was time for me to change. I couldn't do it all on my own. I told myself I was going to succeed at all costs. So I called around. I found a rehab center in Tulsa, Oklahoma. It was called the 12 and 12. They took me in without a dime to my name, no insurance, no nothing. A withered, malnourished creature who resembled Lord of the Rings character Gollum. My life was in complete tatters. I went into detox August 12th of 2020. There was no turning back for me. I was venturing into the unknown. I had never gone through a cold turkey meth, heroin, and methadone detox before. I had heard these horrible stories. I really had no idea what to expect. I was out of resources. I didn't know anybody in Tulsa. I basically equated it to it being like an invading army landing your ships on the beach and then burning them to ensure there was no retreat. Only moving forward from here. After being on methadone for years and still using on top of it, I was determined to kick the meth, heroin, and methadone cold turkey. It was several continuous years of pretty hardcore abuse. I knew it was going to be bad, and I'm not gonna lie, I was scared to death of going through these withdrawals. So the first day is day one. They were like I was in a great fog. I really wasn't able to see. I had no mental clarity. My body's systems were going into shock once the drugs were removed. My experience was like my nervous system was just pulsating and vibrating with electrical charge. I was anxious and my hands would shake. My mind was in a complete fog. I was vomiting and had diarrhea frequently. I couldn't hardly process anything like mentally or cognitively. Your body's basically on pins and needles, and the absolute worst part of detoxing was the nighttime. I didn't sleep at all for 13 days straight. I was in a foreign tiny room with another person. It's 10 o'clock and the lights would go out and I would just lay there in bed suffering. My nerves just pulsating over and over again until my nervous system would just short out and a twinge of pain would go shooting off somewhere in my body. My legs were in a constant state of extremely painful Charlie horse sensation. It's called restless leg syndrome. It's like your leg muscles are in a constant state of tension and they spasm over and over and over again. They were in constant pain. My biggest enemy was the clock. It just ticked so slowly. Midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m. I was just praying, sitting there that 5 a.m. would call and it would be time for breakfast. Night after night, over and over and over again. It was like a marathon of suffering with no escape. I would basically lay there in pain, misery, depression, wide awake, trapped in my own body where every ounce of my being is screaming out for relief. Yet there's nothing that will make you feel better. My neurotransmitter levels were artificially inflated for so long that my body stopped using resources to generate more. And then when the substances that were artificially inflating those levels were removed, my body was in a deficit state without the capacity to produce more. And it would take time for my body to have the ability to produce those good feeling neurotransmitters again. It's basically an existence without joy, peace, or happiness. You can't feel good. You just have this electrical pulsating vibration on the inside of you and feelings of emptiness and pain. This basically went on night after night. It was absolute torture. I would take hot baths and cold showers over and over and over again in the middle of the night for relief, sometimes up to 8 times per day. The days were not so bad. I would try to exercise as much as I could, and the routines made the days manageable. I read this book by Alexander Solzhenitsyn called The Gulag Archipelago, which is basically a real-life account of the genocide and torture of millions of people in the Soviet Union during the 1920s through the 1950s. It really put things in perspective for me during this time, and the amount of suffering that those people endure, the nightmare that they live through. Human beings are capable of handling incredible amounts of suffering and adversity and pain. It is basically a must read for everyone, and just to see what we're capable of as a species, both good and bad. One of the worst forms of torture for a human being is sleep deprivation. I would go and I would beg the night nurses for help, and they did all they could. I would just sit there by the window where they dispensed the medication for hours at a time. I had made the decision before going to detox that I was going to flush everything out without being assisted by any medications. No Suboxone, none of the stuff that they had to offer. The nurses went by this because it was what the doctor prescribed at my initial assessment, and it was based on my own wishes. But by the 10th night, I literally could not take it any longer, and I begged them to put me on the Suboxone, to put me on the replacement therapy. I couldn't take it any longer. I was so desperate and manic and ready to give up anything to escape the prison of my body and all the pain and discomfort I was feeling. Thankfully, the doctor who was on call, who was the one who prescribed the medication, wasn't going to give it to me until he could see me and do a visit. So there was this wonderful lady, and she worked the overnight shift, and she saw me there night after night, just basically suffering and going through this horrible withdrawal misery. And I would ask to be taken to the emergency room. I said I couldn't do it any longer. And she encouraged me. She said, it will pass, just to keep going a little bit longer, that I had come so far. And she encouraged me to just do my best and just to last a little bit longer without going on the drugs or giving up. Then finally on the 13th night, I finally got some sleep. It was just 4 hours of sleep, and it wasn't good, but I finally got the lights to turn out, and it was a temporary escape from my mangled prison of a body. Who knows what would have happened had she not just given me that little bit of encouragement to go just a little bit longer. I describe detox as having died. And after the 13th day, I was finally reborn. I started sleeping again a little better. The restless leg syndrome started decreasing. I had these really horrible, scary nightmares, but I was basically through the worst of it. And it wasn't the end, really. It lasted about 3 solid weeks before I started feeling like a human being again. But the first 13 nights was basically just a marathon of suffering. It was rough. So before I go any further, shameless plug here, I'm looking to establish lifelong relationships with a small, select group of exceptional human beings. I want to bless you and your family with prosperity, abundance, wealth, and financial security. We're going to achieve this by partnering up and investing side by side. I will be your guide to financial independence, and we can and will get there together. Partnering with me is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that you cannot get anywhere else. It will not last long. Not everyone can be accepted, and spots are filling up quickly. Once my capacity has been reached, I won't be able to help anybody else. If you are interested in a life-changing opportunity to join me with the Market Palace family, go to marketpalacecapital.com. There's a link below in the description. Fill out the contact form, and I will personally reach out to you to talk with you to see if you are a good fit and that you want to partner up with me. So I hope all is well. I wish you all in the very best of your redemption journey. You can do it. Hang in there. There is hope. And God bless.